Niching down can be really confusing. It's especially confusing when you post and it seems like everyone and their mother is responding but your ideal client. In this week's Hot Seat episode, Steve's target market is active moms who aren't getting results in their current training, but he's getting more engagement from men, and it's got him feeling a little bit lost. Jonathan helped Steve reverse engineer a recent post that was a success to identify his real ideal target market. They then go on to create a loose marketing plan that leaves Steve smiling and excited at the end of the chat. I'll be back at the end to recommend another episode. Enjoy.
Steve, we'll start with you, man. I would love to know just a little bit about who you serve and what you want to talk about today. And also, publicly, thank you for waking up at 4 a.m. to do this.
Yeah, well, my name's Steve. I live in a sort of rural town in Victoria, bottom of Australia, and I, s- I'm actually confused about who I serve at the moment. I get so many people hitting me up that aren't my avatar that I've been working with. You know, my avatar is active mums that are already training, but not getting anywhere, not seeing the results that they want, and I basically help them transform their body. And the sort of energy levels. That's not exactly what I put up on my page, but now I get a lot of men mostly hitting me up, and I'll be honest, I'm just really confused at the moment. Yeah,
Okay.
um, yeah.
What's the one thing you really want to dial in on then today?
It's funny when I wrote out what I wanted to do, it was like mostly content because I just don't feel like I get any traction to create conversations. You know, I'm really trying to get people to have conversations, and obviously people need to comment on things for me to be able to follow up with that.
Hmm.
You know, I used an example yesterday. I put up a post just asking who would be up for a challenge, and I had a whole heap of people just comment on something like that. But when I'm targeting my avatar, I don't really get that.
Okay. What did you say what did you say specifically when you said who's up for a challenge?
I'll bring it up.
Because you talked about how when you were kind of going through the exercises lesson you started, it was like, I'm going to be targeting women, but
Yeah,
you're saying that there's a lot more men signing up or that it's kind of split between the two, right?
yeah. I get a lot more. For example, like when I'm working on Instagram, I get a lot more people, a lot more men following me
Okay.
than women. And I'm not overly focused on that. It just seems very odd. Who would be up for a fun and exciting challenge that will test their skills and abilities?
Huh. What do you think? What aspect about that do you think got such a good response? Why do you think so many people responded to it?
From the responses, I think it was everyone saw it as a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's I heard something from maybe it was the CEO at Beachbody, like Beachbody P90X, all that kind of stuff. And like him or hate him, you can't knock the fact that they're damn good at marketing fitness. And this was like a super old video that somehow made its way to YouTube. And it was him presenting in a boardroom to his team. And he said there's only two ways to market fitness. It's all that there is. So there's only two ways. He said that there's you can do this ways to market fitness, inclusive, everybody, let's have fun. You can do this. It's accessible. He says, or there's can you do this? It's a challenge.
mm,
P90X, insanity, 75 hard. And anything in between, what he said falls flat. And if you look at the history of kind of what they have marketed, you see that. And if you think about what programs really jump up and gain um, a lot of movement behind them, they very much fall into one of those two categories. You got curves, You've got Weight Watchers. There's, everybody, we can do this. We can do this together. It's accessible. It's easy. We'll take it step by step. Let's go. Or the, yo, you man enough for this? You tough enough for this?
Mm.
And I wonder whether what you kind of tapped into there is that.
I think if people like know my sort of history, then that could be right, because I've been competitive in like strongman, and but then I've gone out and taken all these challenges like Spartan races, and so people see all that stuff coming up in my feed all the time. Um, yeah, like the last 20 something years, I've been competitive in some sort of thing just for fun and that challenge,
Yeah.
So I think when people follow my feed, that's probably what they see.
I mean, niching down is such a complicated thing because it's not a demographic question. It's more a psychographic question. And two people that fit the same psychographic can be vastly different demographics.
Mm,
You can have a black woman from Alabama who's a shift nurse that has the same reasons and emotions and motivations as a 27-year-old strongman white guy from Australia.
yeah,
And it's the same psychographics. And I think where it's so hard to teach that. And a lot of the questions that I get and that I know a team gets here in the mentorship about niching and what market do I hit often fall into this kind of bucket of saying, oh, I work with X women who want to XYZ, who are between the ages of Y, who want to whatever, lose pounds, gain muscle, gain strength, gain confidence, whatever, right? Whatever they want to lose, whatever they
yeah,
want to gain. There's always one of those or multiple of those at the same time. But I think a lot of the time, it's not as much a demographic question, it's more a psychographic question. And with you, it definitely seems that way. Now, I'm not saying it's this way for everybody, but with you, it definitely seems that way. There was something about how you worded that challenge that even I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, man, I'm down. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a challenge.
mm,
And knowing your background, that's great. And so I wonder then whether that's something that you can, instead of just saying it's a challenge, you could just become like, the challenge guy. I help you overcome. I help you to kind of tug it in on the types of people that like physical challenges or feel like they need this type of physical challenge.
yeah,
Knowing that, hey, what's going to get them to enter in with you, it might be, physical challenge or training for whatever, strongman competition, Spartan race, whatever it is. And then they're going to continue on with you because why somebody starts doing a thing is basically never why they continue doing that thing for a long period of time.
yeah. That's why I've got so many people that have stayed with me for so long, because they come in for something and then they find other things, which is like me. Yeah.
So what are those things? I mean, can you create a business where you're basically just inviting people to go on the journeys with you as you're doing these things and almost map out the years? I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be with you, but almost map out the years. I think about a call that we did, it was a while back. God, it was about marathons. And he became the go-to, somebody in the mentorship here, he became the go-to for helping people prepare physically for the Chicago Marathon. So it wasn't even all marathons, it was one specific marathon. And then you can expand that to more and more marathons. But the nice thing about that is I really like models, particularly business models, where you have very distinct periods of the year or periods of the month where you know that you're going to prepare a very particular way because that allows you to build in both expectancy and repeatability into what you're doing to be able to iterate on it and improve on it. If you're always making up something new over and over again, you can never learn from anything you've done and improve upon it. But if
Yeah.
you know that, let's say, for example, every year there are these 6 different challenge-based events that happen worldwide. Now, these could be things that you engineer. It could just be like all of my clients are doing this one physical challenge at this time. And if you want to train for it and participate, you got to sign up now because I need at least 2 months to prepare you for it. Whatever. It might
Yeah.
be a particular strongman event. It might be something that is going on in one area. But the nice thing about that is if you pick things that repeat every year, and there are always areas where, I mean, really the reason that people do these things is not because they think it's how to get healthy. It's because it's a challenge to overcome.
Yeah.
What you can then do is you can work backwards from that event and you can say, okay, well, I know that this event is happening on whatever, September 13th. It's making up a date. This event's happening on September 13th. I know that it's going to take me, call it 90 days to prepare somebody for this. And so, okay, well, I need 90 days of training and then I need 30 days of basically marketing to get people into that training group. So you're going to start 4 months before September 13th.
Mm.
And what that does that's really nice is it builds in that urgency. It builds in that cutoff all throughout the year. And it's a reasonable cutoff, right? It makes sense that you have it. Everybody gets that you have it. And that allows you to effectively launch your training to the same psychographic in different ways for different events, multiple times a year. And then whichever ones just work well, you can just find more stuff like that and dump the ones that don't. And you can keep improving upon that launch and you can reuse content, of course, each time. The content that
Yeah.
works well, you reuse. The content that doesn't, you throw out and take lessons from the content that does work well. And that's how you start to scale it with other people too, is you can, of course, over time, don't need to be the person doing that. And then the next step is to work with the organizers of the event. The organizer of a strongman competition, those things don't make much money.
Yeah, they
So
don't.
you say to the organizer of the strongman competition, I've already prepped 3 people for this competition. Here's who they are. They were in the thing last year. Um, I'd love to prep more people for the next one. I'm going to bring more people into it, but also to perform better. Anybody who you send to me, I'll give them a 30% commission.
Yeah.
And you get the organizer of the event to build that too. And so you can kind of build off of it that way. How does that all land?
That makes me smile a lot more, I think,
Okay. That's
more
cool.
than
Why is
anything,
that?
because um, just because I'd never really thought about it like that. I service in face-to-face stuff because I still love my face-to-face stuff,
Mhm.
and so I still service mostly active mums. And so when I came in, I was thinking, well, that's probably who I serve best because they're the ones that sort of gravitate towards me for some reason. But yeah, no, this sounds a lot more exciting.
I would think that they probably gravitate towards you if they get a chance to talk to you because you're a sweetheart. But, you're also like a big, hella strong, physically impressive dude.
Yeah,
And somebody on the internet is not going to be able to tell that you're a sweetheart when they're coming across you. They'd have to
yeah, I
talk to
think
you
that's a
or be
big,
introduced to
yeah,
you.
that is the biggest thing I keep finding. Because it's very hard to like use what I do to promote servicing women, I find.
Mhm.
So no, this is exciting
Yeah, and I mean there would still be
because
women part of this. I don't think it
there
necessarily
are
needs to
lots.
be. No, there'll be tons.
Yeah,
I mean,
heaps.
holy crap, man! It's so cool that the gym that I used to train out of in Toronto here, it's called Torque. It's one of the biggest powerlifting gyms in the city, and it's incredible. I mean, they have a powerlifting team and whatnot, and it's men and women. You see like 60-year-old. I met her 60-year-old Chinese grandmother, and she's just powerlifting, man. Oh God, she's impressive. It's just so cool to watch, and it's many of them found this later. I mean, she found it just in the last like 5 years. Uh, what an amazing thing to do, and
Yeah,
amazing
one of
people to
my
work with
kids here is
people.
going over to America's Strongest Teen, so he's going over
Mm.
there in July, and so that's basically what I do face to face. And so yeah, this is I don't know why I never thought about something like this.
Yeah, I mean, work backwards from these events, knowing that after the event's over, like somebody isn't just going to stop.
Yeah,
Especially if they've had a good experience. I mean, maybe some will, but like most won't. Especially if they've good
yeah,
experience. A lot of the work that we do in the mentorship is teach you how to future pace with people. You can say even a couple weeks into the training, it's like, hey, I was just thinking, like, you thought about what you're going to do after the strongman competition in September? Oh yeah, tell me more about that. Oh, why do you want that?
yeah.
And then you're not having that strict, you're continuing on with them afterwards. Um, cool, man. Well, Stephen, let me know how it goes, dude. I'm excited
That's
for
excellent.
this.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Me
you bet.
too.
And thanks
Thank
again
you.
for waking up.
Amber here. Thanks for listening in. This episode was from a group call from Jonathan's online trainer mentorship, where we host hot seats every 2 weeks. The mentorship is where we take anyone doing from $1,000 to $20,000 a month or more and help them scale up. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in learning more about, please DM the word mentor to Jonathan on Instagram at It's Coach Goodman. If you're looking for another episode to listen to right now, I'd recommend episode 164, Create More Opportunities with Your Packages. If you feel like you've accidentally pigeonholed yourself with your packages, there's a way to fix it so you can serve your target market in more than one way. In this episode, you'll learn about creating a repeatable marketing rhythm by creating containers, becoming a champion for your community, and building a marketing plan outside of social media. Again, that's episode 164, Create More Opportunities with Your Packages. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you next week.